Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has expressed her belief that an agreement with the United States can be reached before the 30% tariffs announced by U.S. President Donald Trump take effect on August 1st. This comes after Sheinbaum revealed that officials from her government met on July 11th with representatives of the Trump administration in Washington to seek an agreement that would prevent the imposition of tariffs on Mexican exports to the United States. With 30% tariffs looming over Mexican exports, the stakes remain high. President Trump's threat to impose the duties on both Mexico and the European Union follows failed attempt to secure a broader trade deal. Mexico now hopes that ongoing trade talks can prevent the measures from taking effect on August 1st.
Muy temprano salió una carta firmada por el presidente Trump, donde dice que a México le van a poner 30% de aranceles a todo lo que se exporte a Estados Unidos. Vemos que, por lo que platicaron el día de ayer nuestros compañeros, que vamos a llegar a un acuerdo con el gobierno de los Estados Unidos y que vamos a llegar, por supuesto, a mejores condiciones. ¿Qué podemos trabajar con el gobierno de Estados Unidos? Y tenemos claro que no, y hay algo que no se negocia, nunca, es la soberanía.
Now we're joined by Dr. Ajay Dua. He's a former Secretary of Commerce and senior economist. Thank you, Dr. Ajay, for joining us today. Welcome to NewsX World. What leverage, if any, does Mexico have now in these negotiations with the Trump administration, especially given past trade dynamics between these two countries?
Thank you for having me on your show. I think Mexico has a lot of leverage vis-a-vis the United States. Mexico's labor-intensive industry, to start with, was the market for most of its products was the United States. Over the years, now even the complexion of the goods which are being exported from there, some might have been made through Chinese investment in Mexico. But the bilateral trade between Mexico and the United States continues to be very large, and the U.S. consumer is better off having lower duties, 10% duty or so, whatever President Trump had imposed as soon as he had come into power, I thought was more than enough. Otherwise, the implication upon the U.S. consumer can be huge, because Mexico is almost the largest exporter after China of consumer goods, consumer durables to the United States.
And Dr. Ajay, how significant would a 30% tariff will be for the Mexican economy, and which sectors can be most vulnerable?
I think a 30% flat on the imposed by the United States can hurt a lot of agriculture products, and Mexico, because it has a large border with the US, does export a lot of those products which are daily requirements. And as I mentioned earlier, consumer goods, consumer durables, textiles, apparel, all these things come from Mexico, and at 30% duty, there would certainly be tempering down of the volumes. So that will, to that effect, it will hurt the Mexican producers, and at the same time, I repeat that it will hurt the U.S. consumer as much, if not more.
And given that this tariff threat follows failed broader trade deals, what does this suggest about the U.S.'s current trade strategy under President Trump?
I think there is no consistency, if you will allow me to say, in the policies which the United States is following vis-a-vis almost the entire rest of the world. Mexico, Canada, Japan, Korea, Vietnam, all were allies, including Vietnam. And India wasn't too far off, but we were receiving considerations from the United States. But all of us have been put on notice. Some of us might get away if the United States expedites the bilateral trade agreements with the ones which are under negotiation. Japan, India, Korea, Vietnam, all are ready to have agreements with the United States, and those will be long-term ones, not open to capriciousness. Also, those would be probably much lower than these flat duties of 30% or 40%, which the US is imposing. I think the way out as of now, as President Sheinbaum of Mexico mentioned, that we are ready, all of us are ready to expedite our agreements, but let it not be absolutely shooting from free trade earlier or very low duties to talking of 30 to 40% and reciprocal duties then being invited on 50% on steel, aluminum, those kind of things. I would think that yes, United States has an issue. It has a trade deficit. It wants to make money for its own treasury. All those are fine. But even 10% flat, which it imposed, is going to get it a lot of money. Already, one of the news channels carried it this morning that the United States in the last 6 months, January to June, has earned more money in customs duty levied by it than ever in the past. So the U.S. concern of making the exporter to the U.S. because it's got a market access to the large market of the United States. That I think the purpose is being served. Let it not go on and on, because you do that, you hurt yourself as much as you hurt the others.
And Dr. Ajay, lastly, do you think that the Mexican President Sheinbaum and Trump, do they share good relations with each other? Are they friends? What is their relationship like from the past few tit-and-tat kind of situations we have seen in the past?
I don't think there is an adversarial relationship. They do get along from whatever has been reported in the press and the media. Uh, so and I think President has once, if I recall, even complimented her approach to sorting out the United States, their bilateral trade. So I'm optimistic that yes, she has to pose tough, she has to look like a patriot, and after all, the people of Mexico have elected her, and she should go all out to protect their interest. But I have a feeling that this 3 week window, which has been extended from the 9th to the 31st of July, it would make a lot of countries, those who were earlier being inflexible or a little obstinate, and the United States, which wanted to have its own way vis-a-vis, some of them give us market access to your agriculture, dairying, GMO products. It's doing this to a lot of countries. Otherwise, we will do this, we will do that. That, at the end of the day, is, I would only call it negotiating tactics. But now the time has come, the US has made use of it, US administration, the US president, and across the line his secretaries, whether it is Besant in the Treasury, whose concern is money, all have made use of it, but now they should get down to, after all, it is only 18 days left now.
Yes.
The 18 days, they need to have as many agreements as these 18 days. 18 to 20 agreements with, see, EU was a very major trader with the United States. And they were military allies, they were strategic allies, and they were trading allies.
Yes, Dr. J, you will